Good evening, I'm Darlene Arden, and welcome to Creatively Speaking. My guest this evening is author C.J. West. Sin and Vengeance, the first book in C.J.'s Randy Black series, was optioned for film by a screenwriting firm in early 2008. The screenplay, written by Marla Cukor, is complete and has drawn interest from a number of producers. A Demon Awaits, the second book in the series, offers a major twist in the storyline and challenges readers to forgive Randy Black's mistakes and follow his journey in future novels. CJ embraces social networking and keeps in touch with readers on MySpace, Goodreads, and Facebook. I'm very pleased to welcome C.J. West to Creatively Speaking. Welcome, C.J.
Thank you so much for having me today, Darlene.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. Tell me what encouraged you to get into writing. Did you write when you were younger?
I did. I wrote one manuscript when I was in 6th grade. I was bored during school hours, and then I put it down. I focused on computers and computer networking, and then in 1999, I just caught the bug and began writing again.
Really? What was it that inspired you? Was there one incident? Was there someone who said something?
It was Christmas time, and I had been talking about it for some time. My wife actually bought me a couple of books on writing. James Frey's book was one that really inspired me to get going. And I started writing, and from that point it just snowballed, and I began writing pretty much every day and did that for about 7 years.
Wow. Now, for somebody who's been in computers, to be writing fiction is really interesting. Because normally you would think nonfiction, because manuals, I'm dealing with reality, I'm dealing with hardware. Why fiction?
I'm really attracted to thriller movies and thriller books, and I guess I'm just a creative guy. Computer programming, I really feel there are a lot of parallels between computer programming and fiction. You're structuring and working through the logic, and one of the things that I do in my books is they're very plot focused. So there's a lot of logic and a lot of twists and turns that really appeal to that logical side of the computer engineer.
Where did Randy Black come from?
I get a lot of comments on Randy. Randy's a great character. Readers love the fact that he is so unpredictable and so outrageous.
Oh, he's amazing.
He's a great alter ego for me because I'm more of a sort of in the box sort of a guy. Randy Black came from writers, I think, watch the world around them a little more intensely. And I was watching two people, and one was helping the other. And I started thinking, as writers do, and sort of twisting this relationship around until I wondered what this person could be doing, appearing to be this innocuous, helping, friendly guy, and with a total ulterior motive. And that's really where Randy Black grew out of, the Randy Black-Charlie Marston relationship in Sin and Vengeance.
Oh, it's fascinating, those characters. And even if you pick up on the second book, but I would encourage people to start with the first one, you do such a nice catch-up on what has happened. You pull the plot together and pull it forward so that people are caught up in exactly what had gone on. They understand where the character is being picked up.
Right.
And they don't feel like they've lost. And they have, but they don't feel that way.
That was really important for me. The book, A Demon Awaits, really grew out of Sin and Vengeance. People love the Randy Black character. They love the freedom that he had, and I think people live vicariously through those wild and crazy actions, and we all think that we'd be able to do some of the things that he does. And some maybe. But a lot of my most devoted readers really didn't like him. They wanted to see him punished. They really didn't understand what drove him to do the things that he did, and A Demon Awaits was my response to that. I wanted to show people how I felt about Randy and how someone can take their mistakes and grow and learn from them and move on.
Oh, it amazes me that he was able to do so. I mean, he did what we've all wanted to do to people who have been totally evil to us,
right,
who have destroyed our lives, who have destroyed our families' lives, who have destroyed everything our parents might have built, and he turned that, and I still don't quite understand how he did that. It was wonderful. Where did that money come from to do that?
Well, yeah, I really encourage people to read Sin and Vengeance first, because Randy's motivation is very strong. His family has been ripped apart by someone who really did it with intent. He really wanted to come in and steal. What he did was he stole the winery from the family.
Right.
Randy got his money from the sale of the winery at a fire sale price, but it was still $1 million or $2 million.
It still didn't seem as if it would be enough to do those wonderful things, and yet you found a way to do that.
Yeah, you know, he didn't spend a ton of money on fancy gadgets and weaponry and that sort of thing. Everything he does is sort of down home. You know, it's taking
kind of a MacGyver, but not quite.
He's an evil MacGyver, I think, and he takes advantage
What's not to love?
He takes advantage of what's at hand. Yeah, he really does.
It's amazing. How did you learn these things? How did you and I'm starting to wonder about you, CJ.
You know, I get that question all the time. People ask me, you know, especially people who know me, you know, in my real day-to-day life, they look at me sort of funny, you know. Where did you come up with all these crazy things that he does? And it was hard work, you know. When I was writing the plot that Randy undertakes in Sin and Vengeance and all the evil things that he does, I was trying to make them very accessible to people, things that, you know, that are all around them all the time, they understand, but yet scary, you know, dangerous. And I spent a lot of time sort of walking around my home looking at things that could be turned against me that I sort of depend on.
That's interesting. Kind of like the box cutters on those hijacked flights.
Right, and I think we walk by a lot of things that we don't take seriously because they're in our environment all the time. And I spent, I think, about 2 days walking around my house thinking about all of the things that Randy could use against the Marston family and what he could do with them.
It's amazing to me that you found so many things. It was great. I mean, did it give you a sense of freedom when you were working, did it give you any kind of vicarious thrill or this kind of, I can get this all out here?
Yeah, you know, I really love writing the Randy Black character. That's one of the reasons why I decided to continue the series, is that he's so liberating to write, and, you know, as I'm working, I don't have any real boundaries for Randy. He's an intelligent guy, he's fit, he's good with weapons, he's good with cars, he's good with the ladies. He can do almost anything, you know, limitless possibilities with him, and yet he uses his creativity to just take things at hand and do whatever he needs to get done.
What I find interesting is he was orphaned at something like 13 or so.
Right, 13.
13, and how did he develop all of this? Did he set about, at that point, it seems to me, he decided he was going to get even.
Right, the critical moment for Randy was, he was in the barn, it's a wine processing area. He was in the barn and he watched Charles Marston come in and contaminate the wine in Sin and Vengeance.
He knew exactly what had happened.
He knew what happened.
Blew me away.
And he complained, he talked to the police, and the police didn't listen to him. And he had this futility, you know, and anger building up inside him. And then, as time went on, he saw the wine had to be thrown away because it was all contaminated and the family had financial problems. And then his parents killed themselves. And now he's orphaned, and he feels responsible because he couldn't save them. And also
and yet
angry.
He tried. What was really interesting was he tried, and nobody will listen to a kid.
Right, right. And, you know, the smooth-talking, sleazy businessman talks his way out of the problem, and then his parents are gone, and he's left alone. And one of the things that I really liked about Randy's character is he had the will to work, you know, from, you know, a young man to really think about and strategize and do the things that he did over a period of 10 years before he lashed out. He really worked hard at making sure that he would get the people who had done this to him what they deserved.
And he,
you know, from, you know, a young man to really think about and strategize and do the things that he did over a period of 10 years before he lashed out. He really worked hard at making sure that he would get the people who had done this to him what they deserved.
And he did.
And he definitely
beautifully.
did. Yeah.
And I'm not giving too much away here because basically this is a whole, you know, it builds from this point, but to see how this happens, you really have to read Sin and Vengeance.